listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, you can find me at One True Self, ONE, trueself.com. I awakened with wolves, and they taught me a whole lot about nature, hearing plants, hearing animals, and understanding how energy works. We have a very special guest today, Dr. Nadine Gordon-Taylor. She's an incredible artist. She has a studio, Third Eye Arts in New York, and she's made these most gorgeous cards to help us strengthen our relationship with nature and see the beauty in life. And we've also been talking about, as we were waiting to come on, some really wonderful things like allowing the universe to come into our lives, letting go of blocks by allowing that to come in, and noticing how nature is always speaking to us. So Nadine, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Julia, for having me.
It's a pleasure. So tell us a little bit. Let's just start with the animal cards, since I'm familiar with that. And then Nadine is going to tell us a lot about crystals because I am not as well informed.
Well, I would like to begin by saying the universe, if you allow it, will guide you to do things. And about 5 years ago, I was a painter with my studio in Peekskill, New York. And people would walk in and say to me, "Don't you think you should create an oracle deck?" And I'd look at them and go, I don't know. And then another person would walk in and go, "Don't you think you should create an oracle deck?" And that's how my higher self does it to me. It repeats. And the next thing I know, I went, okay, I'll look into it. So I did start a deck with my artwork that I had and self-published it. It was a long journey. There was good and bad to it. I learned a lot. And the good of it was In a Traditions Bearing Company picked it up about a year later. And then that was with, the first one was called The Heart Path. The second one is called Animal Love. And the third one, which just came out last month is Crystal Clear Oracle. And all my artwork was always intuitive, and I gave readings to people I created artwork for them, and I would write up the messages I get. But I never knew I was going to do a divination tool specifically. And animals have been a major part of my life. And I don't think I've ever been, as a child growing up, and I've never been without a pet, a cat, a dog. I did not grow up on a farm or have those type of animals, but my higher self led me to doing oracle decks, which again are a form of divination. But for me, it's almost like a form of spiritual therapy, because these cards are not to predict; they're to really help you to get to whatever your next stage of development is spiritually, to become a spiritual adult. And the animals, whether it's all of nature, plants, crystals, animals, are an extension of source or your higher self or God, and that you call them in. I always tell someone when they pull a card that it is you yourself that's pulling card, giving you the message, I'm just the tool, the conduit to help you to find that.
I agree with you. And for people who are wondering about what we're saying, if you have a day that you wake up, or if I do, and I'm meditating and I see deer and the birds fly down near me and they sing, and maybe I see a fox or I see something I wouldn't normally see, or I open the curtains and there's a beautiful cat looking at me. First of all, I know I'm in harmony
Yes.
because all these things are showing up in my energy field. And I can tell you when I'm having a bad day, they're like what we all do when someone's having a bad day. You stay away, don't you? So that's a good way to start with that.
Well, you mentioned the deer, and in
Mhm.
my animal love deck, I have the deer, and the deer is, to me, I would almost equate the deer to rose quartz in the crystal world. It's
Mhm.
unconditional love, universal, unconditional love. And of course, the Native Americans have their story of how the deer is what allowed us to actually connect with our higher selves, that it unblocked the way because it had such love. It wasn't afraid of this demon that blocked the way,
Mhm.
and it just broke the demon into pieces with love, and the other animals could get to source now. So yes, and if you see a deer, when you, even in suburbia we have deer, when you see it and you pass it, you immediately connect with your heart with unconditional love. All it has to do is look up, and it reminds you on a subliminal unconscious level that it's time to come from your heart.
Because I had a pet deer, a doe, she eventually went back to the wild, I think, when she was 3 or 4 years old. But she was so tame. We always kept her on a side, porched in room. But one time we left the door open and she came in and my parents were watching television and she lay by my father's chair. And then after that, if we didn't have company, she would come in every night for 30 or 40 minutes. And it was a screen door so she could let herself off the porch and go down the steps when she was tired of it. But it was just the most wonderful energy. It was like we went and talked. We were like, oh, she's here with us.
What a gift. That's had to be beautiful.
It really was. And I'm so glad she did go back successfully to the wild. So that was good too.
Yeah, there are guides, but you have to let them
Go.
go, let their path. They have to do their path. Yes.
Well, pull a card for us. I know your deck is so beautiful. See what we get.
We want to pull, okay, let's see what we get. Usually I pre-think this, but I'm going to let it be totally spontaneous.
Okay.
And there is no right or wrong way to use oracle decks, whether it's a tarot deck or just the plain, a different oracle deck. Any card you get, any card you get is going to be the right card. So you can knock it 3 times, you can shuffle, you can clear it, you can do it any ritual you want, or you can do nothing at all,
Mhm.
and you will still always get the right card. I tell this little story in my gallery. There was someone whose husband was secretly going to buy them a original piece of mine for their business. He hadn't told her, and they came into the gallery and she saw my cards and she said, oh, can I pull one? And I handed them to her and she shuffled and shuffled and one popped out and fell to the floor, and it was the one he was going to buy her.
Mhm.
So the universe is, look at that one just came out.
Mhm. Oh, the owl is one of my totems.
There you go. Well, it wants you to know that. And on the card, it has some keywords, and it says insight, mystery, and hidden potential. I mean, I can just talk, or I can give you some of the book is
Why don't you
alphabetical.
give us some of it so people can see what they would get in the book? Because
Okay,
that's important for
so
people to know.
it's going to be alphabetical, and you open up to owl. I mean, I think backwards, but you can see you get a sizable write-up, and you also get affirmations. And the best way to use it, I think, is to first, before even looking at the book, to look into the eyes of the owl
Yeah.
and really see what you'll be amazed at what thoughts will start to come in
Well,
your.
I will tell them. I went to a Native American sacred place, and there were a lot of rituals. And people are always saying, "You see owls, you hear them." I never had. Well, it sounded like there were like 1,000 in the tree. I mean,
Mhm.
literally. And then after that, I started seeing them and hearing them everywhere.
because you connect with their energy. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, when I research I do two things. I intuit the message that I'm going to write, but I also research the science behind everything. So I look at their habitats, what they eat, what their habits, and just the way they turn their head, right?
I know.
That's because they are so wise. They had the symbol of being wise because they can see everything from every angle and every perspective, unlike many of us who only see some things from a narrow perspective, and we have to shift that. And so it starts saying the card you have selected shows a captivating screech owl sitting on a large branch. It turns its head to acknowledge your presence. In general, the owl is an old soul associated with profound knowledge and ancient wisdom. This intuitive bird can see what is unseen as well as decode secrets. It knows what is going to happen before it transpires. This metaphor might come from the fact that the owl, his eyes have a unique feature. Most people don't know there's a third eyelid on the owl.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this eyelid opens and closes from the sides to keep the eye clean. So we open like this. It also has that opens like that. So with this power, you are able to understand what's usually hidden to most. It helps you see beyond illusion and deceit, allowing you to avoid confusing situations. It might also be because the owl is capable of swiveling its head a complete 360 degrees. It can look behind to see the past as well as ahead to see what's coming. It is hard to deceive a person who has an owl protector. The owl wants you to be sensitive to people around you, listen and observe them quietly, and see what is revealed. Gather all information you need before you take any action. People have feared owls because they are nocturnal and associated with darkness, mystery, and dreams. But what this means for you is that nighttime is particularly auspicious for creative visualizations.
Mm.
Take advantage of these late night visions and ideas. They are coming from a part of you that has not yet been accessed. You just might have invaluable epiphanies that help bring light to the world. When the owl joins your consciousness, your latent extrasensory talents will start surfacing. You might find yourself knowing things before they happen or wanting to finish other sentences. Although in nature, owls are predators, in this image, it is your guardian. Your owl is very courageous and ferocious. It teaches you how to be a fierce but compassionate individual. Acknowledge your owl's mission and powerful insights, and it will awaken a formidable side of yourself you have never known is there. You are a brilliant soul, and because of the owl, you now have clarity. Don't be surprised if others seek you out for your expansive expertise. And then I give affirmations. I can see clearly now. I see the truth in all situations. I have the strength of a billion stars and the compassion of a rose. I have special talents and abilities that are manifesting right now. So that would
That's
be an example.
beautiful.
Thank you. That would be an example. And each animal has a special message in this deck. In the other decks, I have multiple animals or multiple symbols in each card. And even with the crystal clear, I'm clairaudient. I want to say everyone is clairaudient. If you can hear a thought in your head, you're clairaudient. But I had to learn to allow that to come and trust it. And so before I even knew I was going to do a crystal deck, I have crystals all around me,
I can see.
and I heard we want to tell the story. We want to have a deck. We want to tell the story. And I went, really? So I ran it by my publisher and they said, yes. And so, so the actual crystal is telling its message. It's in the voice of the crystal. And it's not unlike the other deck. It's alphabetical. It has keywords in it. And the first part of it is all about the crystal. And the crystal will say, I am blue topaz, a silicate mineral made up of aluminum and fluoride, and I will recharge you. And then it goes on to tell its story. And then it brings in the other symbols that are in the piece. So everyone has multiple symbols. So the crystal is the one that's usually the focus, but it has the back of the card is a crystal to highlight. And so they are here to give their messages. It's really a part of you that is somewhat submerged, and it's not able to find its way out. So when you pull a card, it's saying, hint, hint, I'm here, listen. And there will be words that pop out. I always tell people, if you're hearing a word and it resonates, that's important. Focus on
Well,
that.
I think one thing that I'm just going to say a lot of New Age teachings don't seem to value to me is that I realized at one point the way I can hear animals and plants and even the thoughts of people is through my heart. What
Yes.
the wolves taught me was the language of the heart, of hearing everything around you instead of cutting it off. And the heart is the part of us that connects us with everything. It's where correct intuition comes through. It doesn't mean that you won't get intuitions correctly through your mind, but they're better if they come through your heart. And hopefully, when we're interacting with animals and crystals, we're moving into a deeper level of love for life, for ourselves, for what exists. Because we're not just, if you really want to get spiritual, it's not just in your head, it's also in your body and in nature. You can't awaken in just one way.
Well, that's why we call it the heart mind. It works together. I mean, there are things that are working on us that would like to separate that connection, but
Right.
it is a powerful connection. And actually, I was reading in someone's book, TJ Spinner's book, about the sentience or your soul. He says, point to yourself, and no one goes, "This is me." Everyone, this is me. And that's because you're not actually pointing to the organ. He says your soul, or what makes you you, your sentience, is between your spine and your heart, right behind your heart. So when you're pointing to your heart, that is the eternal you. This is the biosuit, and that is you. So hi, this is me. You're saying this is my, and this is how I connect with the whole universe, God, everything is a part of you. And that's why I tell people, especially with crystals. I mean, you can do it with plants if you can get an animal to hold when you do it with your cat or dog. But when you hold on to something, in my book, I have a very extensive, thank God the publisher, Barron Company, allowed me to write as much as I want. It's a pretty extensive book. And I go into a lot of depth about how to use it, my background, my philosophy. I even have a glossary in the back if you don't understand some of the words. But one of the things that's really important, if you actually have a crystal to hold, is to do what I call the mind meld. And that goes back to Star Trek, that you will actually, if you allow yourself, will actually start feeling energy, and you will start getting you'll start hearing things or visualizing things in your mind's eye. And and it gets stronger the more you do it. And if you don't have the crystal, even just visualizing the crystal will start doing it. And the same, if you visualize a deer and you focus on it, you're going to start to feel that heart energy, right?
Mhm.
I mean, and so sometimes people ask me, I don't have a favorite or a not favorite crystal. I love them all, but two of the most extreme, I would say, for me are between rose quartz, which is pure unconditional love, and moldavite, which I only have as a little pendant. I don't think I'd want to have too much of it. Moldavite is equivalent to the phoenix bird or to the snake in transformation. The moldavite is kind of everything that has been weighing you down, that is not for your highest and best good, has to go. And if you're not willing to let it go, I will help you, it says. And the first time I ever wore a tiny little piece of moldavite on a necklace, I had a gallery in a certain part of town, and I loved it, and I knew I was going to stay there for a while. And I put on the necklace, and I go and I sit down, I open my computer, and my landlord says, "You have 2 weeks to get out." And I went, "What?" And first of all, I wrote him back and said, no, it's minimum of a month. But I did not know that waiting for me was a much more beautiful space that was going to manifest, but I was so upset that that was going to happen. But my higher self just needed a little kick in the pants to go, you know what, maybe this isn't the best place. It might be fine, but there is something else a little better. And it will do that. It will kind of like drill into your childhood memories, drill into whatever you're carrying somatically in your body. And it will go, maybe you're not letting it go. I'm going to help you relive, or not relive so much, but understand that that's not for your highest and best good. And let's get rid of it.
You reframe the energy very
Yes.
quickly.
Yeah.
I
So
did want to say something about your process, though, because I'm thinking people are going to wonder, why do I want to know what a crystal is made of? Why would I want to know about the habits or the habitats of different animals? And that is because that when we read about that or we think about that, it puts us in a place that we're receiving energy from that animal, and we're receiving visuals, and we're receiving intuitive information. So it is important. I've never had, I don't even think a dog or, never had a wild animal for a pet that I didn't research everything fully.
absolutely. Well, what you put your attention to manifests, and what you
Mm-hmm.
focus on more and more and more, will it just keep expanding? And that's why one has to be, there's so many cliches out now in the new age, alternative camp, but they're true. There's simple, quantum, what you put your attention to, or even go back to Rumi, the ancient philosopher.
Right.
What you seek is seeking you. Or I always say, if you get on the back of a horse, you've got, if you don't take the reins and tell it, where you want to go, it's going to just take you willy-nilly anywhere it wants. And that's fine if you're not in a rush, and you can heal a little there and eat a little there. But I go, once you tell the horse, I want to go there, the horse goes, yay, let's go. And that's the universe. The universe is here to give whatever you want. But most of us don't understand that we're giving out multiple frequencies at the same time.
And many of them are conflicting. And that's another reason that it's so important to consciously manifest.
Yes.
Because if you're consciously manifesting, you're saying, let's go in this direction.
Yes.
And the parts of you that aren't in alignment with that will come up and you can heal them. If you don't, the parts of you that are not in alignment, like the horse, will go everywhere.
That's right. And that's why things like a positive divination tool. There are a lot of tools out there. Some of them, I like to say they're all, advantageous, but you don't want to focus on that which you don't want. So you don't want to focus on negativity. So as long as it's leading you in a constructive, positive way, then that's what it's there to do for you, is to minimize the distractions of the thoughts and the energy of that, what you don't want. And then, like with the owl, what is it? The owl, or, you can pick any card. The hippopotamus wants you to honor your greatness, and if you don't know you're great, what's wrong with you? It's going to teach you that, there's the turkey. They're all, and there's your wolf.
They're all very beautiful, I thought.
Thank
I looked
you.
at all of your images on your website. They're just gorgeous.
Thank you. And, I like to play kind of a little game with the cards. You can use the decks together. So with the heart path, the cards have little sayings on the bottom. So it's honor, bless, and release the past, or birthing a new life. And then there's one that says being in the present moment. So if you put them together, you can almost form sentences and affirmations. So if you, by being in the present moment and honoring and blessing and releasing the past, you can birth a new life. So you can move them around, and your inner guidance, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is going to it's going to put together these for what you need to hear at that moment. And you can you can do it like past, present, future, right? And you can pick an animal card. We can pull an animal card. So I always like to ask an open-ended question when I do it. Something like, I'm having some difficulties with people in my family or who I work with. Please guide me for the highest and best good. Not a yes or no, but just I'm willing and open to hear any guidance that's going to help me through this situation. And you'd be amazed. This chipmunk, it says, trusting creative and new discovery. Depending on what card you get, the fox, awareness, flexibility, and sensitivity. So I do what I recommend. So the other day I pulled a card because I have a family member I'm having an issue with, and it's been pretty intense. And so I did exactly what I said. I pulled cards, and then I took a clarifier, put it on top, and I went, look at that, before I even opened the book, because they're my words, but I said, look at that word, being flexible, right? There were certain keywords that popped out to me and the affirmations, and I went, oh my God, what part of this relationship is happening because of my energy that I don't even know I'm giving out? But the major word that stuck with me was flexibility. And so the next day when I interacted with this person, I kept about 4 keywords in my mind when I was doing it. And I had a lovely day with them. And then the next day I had a lovely day with them. And I went, it's not like it's going to erase their issues, but
No.
it's make you more aware of your role and your part in the dynamics of that relationship. Because again, we draw in everything around us with energy. So how are you keeping them, locked in an energy cycle or, or cord without you even knowing it? And that's why I think the cards, the book, because you can read this book over and over again and every day look at different words. You can do 1 card a day, 1 card a week, 1 card a month, depending on how much you need to hear it. And, if you get this, I keep hearing from people that they keep getting the same cards. I have a lot of people let me know what
It happens.
and some readers like to say, oh, it means you need to clear your deck. I kind of think it means that you haven't quite integrated, and that's an important word. Knowing is not the same as integrating. You can know a million facts, but that has nothing to do with wisdom. And integration is inner wisdom. So
It's learning the lesson.
yes, once you
Yeah.
learn it, it's integrated. Absolutely. So these decks and divination tools in general, but certainly the heart path, the crystals and animals, are here to help you uncover and these little, hidden energy cords or things that you're even dealing with yourself, and even ancestral. Anything that you're in this life where you were born into certain dynamics with family that you may not realize you're doing. It might be even your job to come here to shift those,
It probably is. It's time for us to go to break. Everyone, I'm here with Nadine Gordon-Taylor talking about all kinds of animal, mineral, heart cards. And we're talking about our soul's journey, about allowing, and about understanding the language of the heart and how her cards work with that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin. You're listening to The Power of Awakening and Inspiration on Transformation Talk Radio. I have a very special guest, a wonderful artist and writer, Dr. Nadine Gordon-Taylor, and she is sharing her card decks with us. We've been talking about the language of the heart and how it relates to this and how we get messages every day from nature and the universe and how cards can be one way of finding them and listening to them. So Nadine, would you tell everyone what your website is and where they can find your cards?
My website is www.thethirdEyestudio.com. You can find any of my decks either at the publisher, which is Inner Traditions Bear and Company. Just Google that. You can go to my website and I have my artwork on there, and you can get the cards there, but you can go to Amazon and get any of the decks there too.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Thanks.
So one of the important things I think that we've been talking about is allowing the universe to come through us for problem solving, for seeing life from a different perspective. And before we came on, Nadine and I were talking about she was playing solitaire, and she said that she decided to allow that the energy would come through and she would win. Okay, I played solitaire for hours as a child. It's not that easy. So why don't you tell us about allowing energy to come in?
Well, it's so fascinating. We think we understand the word allow, but we have so many levels of constructs that we have agreed to take on since birth. You know, we make, how can I say, a parent says something and it gets, you know, absorbed into you. Or when you're a little child, maybe you're singing, this was something I read, you're singing, right? You're 3 or 4 year old, you're singing, you don't know when your mother comes home, she has a headache, and the mother says, stop singing, I have a headache. And you think your singing has given her a headache, so you never sing again. The mother doesn't know she's done it. You don't remember when you're 30 years old that you are, you know, you think you're a terrible singer because when you were 4 years old or 3 years old, something happened. We continually make agreements, usually on a very subtle level. We don't remember it. So you can get to be, you know, as you grow older, your personality forms from all these agreements. And it's not like there's any fixed personality. You can become, yes, we have tendencies, but you can, you know, rewrite the story of your life anytime you want to change the agreements. And anytime you want to allow, there's that word, allow, and let in energy that is coming from a higher source than the egoic mind. I mean, when it's filtered only through the mind, it's limited. It's not good or bad. It's just limited. You don't have the whole picture. It tends to be very linear. We are spherical beings that have infinite amount of energy and power, knowledge. One thing I do want to say that the cards help with is often people give a name to something. I am an artist. I am a writer. I am a doctor. I am a lawyer. And then they define themselves by that. When you name yourself in some way, although it's necessary, right? Because we have to communicate. We're not telepathic yet. But when you name something, you limit it. And what I hope these cards do is they make you question a lot of the naming you have done about yourself and who you are. It's very important that you ask questions, because then the universe can give you information that you need to go to that next level and allow it to happen. If you don't ask questions, you're more like kind of a spiritual, I don't even know what to call it, kind of like a robot. You know, you get programmed and then you just live, you get up and you do the same thing.
Right.
But when you question, you stop that and new information comes in. So when you have a crystal like rose quartz, or you know, or a different one, it's now saying, I want you to question what you're doing today. You woke up a little angry. Well, you're holding me though, and I'm pure love. Maybe you have to look at this situation from the heart and from love. You know, or Moldavite. Maybe you don't have to stay in the same situation and suffer the rest of your life because you think you don't deserve. Maybe, you know, it's a different scenario. I mean, when you get the dragonfly, I mean, when I first started this whole series, people started giving me dragonfly presents. And I'm like, you know, I didn't know why. I didn't collect things. And then I would go into a place and I'd ask for something and they'd go, don't you want the one with the dragonfly on it? And I go, what is going on here? And when I finally started looking at what the dragonfly meant, which, and then interpreted through my lens, and which was seeing things from another angle, they flitter, the light bounces up, they flitter. So I realized I have to look at something in my life from another perspective, another angle. Maybe I'm not seeing it clearly. And just by asking, you know, can I change my way of thinking? Maybe it isn't correct, or something in my life needs to be looked at differently. How can I do it? By asking those questions, you're now allowing new information via frequencies, energy waves.
Yeah, what she's saying, folks, if you're not quite following this, is right now, the life that you have, that is like a radio station or a box composed of certain frequencies. If you open your energy field and you ask for new frequencies, changes, new ways of seeing life, then it's like this. It's huge. It's not a little box. There are all these other energies that flow through. And the dragonflies are like the offering of different prayers or desires or frequencies. They're saying, try something different.
But you've got to allow it in by asking, by being open, not by, and again, when we go back to the card, the solitaire that I played, it's a very interesting feeling when you allowing something in is more like not doing anything. It's
Mhm.
getting out of your own way and turning off that old frequency so that you can now, as a radio station, turn into a new frequency and allow that one in. So when I was playing the cards and I wasn't sure how to do it, I just kept going, I allow it in, I allow it in, I can win, I allow myself to win, I allow it in. And as I was doing it, every card, I've never had it happen before, went in the right place. So that all I did was win it instantly. And I was like, this is pretty amazing. And you can do that with all aspects of your life, but it's like peeling away things that you don't need. Like you
Because they block the frequency.
yes,
What
you get
she's
rid of
saying
it.
is she made an opening for this frequency to come in.
Absolutely. And you don't realize, many people don't realize the negative thoughts they're having. And as soon as you have a negative thought, that blocks the positive one from coming in.
Right.
It sounds simple, and it is simple, and it's also because we're so used to the feeling, we keep it going. You keep asking, why am I attracting the same type of people in my life? And you can even ask that when you pull a card, why do I have this energy? Why do people blah blah blah? And then you pull the card and you listen to what it says, and it's going to have some question in there and some key phrases or words that are going to specifically there to shift whatever has been blocking that. I assume if you're even going to buy an oracle deck or a
Mhm.
divination tool, you're open to this.
Right. And that's what a card is. It's an opening for another frequency.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's really, I mean, we talk about so many spiritual things, but she has just sort of condensed it. I would add one other thing. When you think about who you are, why not say, universe, I would like to feel the presence of my inner self? Because that's what's really real. And it makes you feel your heart and your connection to the universe. It's fine to define yourself however you might like to. But then the other part of it is what we started with in the beginning, something to manifest, right? That's a new idea that needs an opening, that needs allowing. And part of the time you're going to have like divine energy coming in. And the other half of the time you're going to experience the part of you that doesn't believe in it. And that is really intense spiritual work to get there.
That's what we call the shadow side. And I actually, before this series, I consider it a series. I did a series called Self-Portrait Minus Self. It was realistic drawings and paintings of my shadow side in my life, my literal shadow. And I didn't realize how important that was going to be on a symbolic level and a literal level, because it's not a negative thing. I mean, this card that I created for this deck, which is called Looping Cycles of Life and Death, is kind of more like the shadow side. It can be a little intimidating to look at, but it's necessary. The shadow side goes here. I'm here. I need love and care too. I
Mhm.
need to focus on me. And then we can work together. When we work together, when you embrace your dark side or your shadow, you have doubled your power. And it will work like Moldavite in a way. It's going to help you bring balance into your life. But if you run away from it, if you don't want to face it or deal with anything that happened when you were younger, even in another life that we may have nightmares from or something, you don't want to run away from it. You actually want to kind of be a beacon of light and love, to say it's okay. You're there. I'm shining my heart, my light on you, and you are important. You're just as important as any other side of me. And when you do that, you find that you release things you didn't even know you were holding in.
Yeah, because when that part of us comes up that doesn't want to move into the new reality, it's really saying, I'm still hurt, I'm still broken. You haven't given me any energy. I have to heal before you can integrate me with the other parts of yourself. And there's always a gift that comes from integration.
Absolutely. And again, I've been, saying the word aloud to myself constantly the last couple of days. Sorry, my phone's ringing in the other room. And I, oh my God, sorry.
It's okay, it's fine.
I, I allow myself to be happy. I allow myself to be healthy. I allow myself to be friends with so and so. You have to, I just say it over and over and over again. that kind of thing. And you don't realize how much you're not allowing it. Just like when I got the card, which had the word flexibility on it, I have to be flexible. I'm being very rigid in this. How am I causing whatever is happening between us to strengthen and grow in a negative way? So I have to see my place in it. And when you say, I allow myself to get new insights, I allow, and basically that's what affirmations are. They're the ones that, they're the sentences that are giving you permission to get that information or frequency into your consciousness. So when I was playing the game of cards and I allow myself to win, I allow myself to win. It was pretty quick how it showed how it worked. And the thing is, it's like developing your muscles. The more you do it, when you exercise, your muscles get stronger and stronger. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and I have such total faith in my clairaudience. I didn't in the beginning. But the more I believe that I'm guided by what, what I hear, and then I put my attention to that and I believe it more and and it's amazing how it will develop. And anyone who's listening who thinks, well, she can do it, I can't, this is part of the human experience. Everyone
It's practice.
It's practice, and everyone has all the clairs on some level. It's like being on the spectrum, right? Clairaudience, clairvoyance. We all have it. It's just, have you shut it down or are you turning it on? And again, the more you focus on it, and these cards, again, a divination tool helps you focus on that and turn up the volume on it.
Yeah, because you're listening to something that's outside of what's going on with you internally, and you're
Yes.
connecting with the natural world.
Yes, yes.
And the minute that we connect with the natural world, because you notice when we're talking about it, how everything immediately becomes calmer and smoother. I cannot remember the mathematical ratio, but I remember learning in college that nature, like let's just take a tree. If we took that mathematically, whatever that number is, it's the most pleasing thing aesthetically to the human eye. And everything in nature is like that. It was actually created to bring us into a place of balance and beauty.
Yes. Is it the golden ratio or one of those kind of things?
One of those kinds of things, yeah.
In beauty, I always say that beauty is as important as oxygen. And, that's why when there are forces to be, when they want to make you uncomfortable, they make sure that things are not beautiful. And so you want to make your surroundings and your environment that you live in as calm, as beautiful and balanced as you can. If you can't buy things that are absolutely gorgeous, at least make them orderly, like clean and neat, and put them in an order. You want balance and beauty. Beauty is as calming as a tranquilizer. And that's why nature is so important, because nature it's just sheer beauty, right? The colors that are there, the sounds that are there, the what you can touch and feel. Even weird little insects and things, as long as they're not on you. Everything has its little place, but you look close at them and you go, my God, that beetle is beautiful. That butterfly is beautiful. Even, ants, symbolism of ants they're wonderful. They work together and they overcome all obstacles together,
Yeah. It's showing us how there's a place, how there's an energy with that can really truly lift us up and lift our consciousness. So when we were talking about allowing, I think it's important to say, and the cards probably give us the opposite frame of this, but wherever we have a problem, there's 10% of us that's involved. So I'll say, release the 10% of me that's involved with this, and please send in positive energy.
That's very good. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Because there are lots of things that, because we have to work with other people and we identify with other people, that we get in some of their energy, and it's not always harmonious for us. On the other hand, sometimes we don't have there's nothing we can do about that, but live with the energy, work with the energy. And in those cases, all we can do is work on ourselves, that 10%.
Yes. I mean, if you look, the concept of having a narcissist has gotten really big lately. I so many people who I do readings for say they have them in their lives. Some people can't just automatically remove themselves from that, but you can put up boundaries and you can say, I allow myself to be safe. I allow myself to have boundaries. I allow myself, not to hear the negativity that they're saying. I allow myself to be strong and bound. You can work on your own strength, your own boundary. And the interesting thing is, A narcissist lives off of your energy. It's an energy vampire. So when you shift your energy, you don't taste so good to them anymore. And they're either going to go look for it in another place, or you're going to be able to actually make a separation.
Yeah. It changes as soon as you realize that. Or some door opens so you can go ahead and leave.
Yes.
I think one thing in this country that to me is sometimes a problem is everybody tends to identify as a victim.
Yes.
And one thing I like to say is, unless you're working with someone who can clear it or change it, please don't share that information with everyone because they're amplifying it.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, you realize that, I mean, on a spiritual level, there are no victims. There's only people that haven't woken up yet, and they don't understand the role. But I mean, a lot of times, the very things that you don't want to have happen are what push you to grow. Almost like during a fire where the seeds, they need the fire to pop open and
Right.
they grow. There, or the phoenix bird, right? Sometimes you need to go through that. It's not pleasant, but you need to go through it in order to not be taken over by forces that are not for your highest and best good. You wake up and you
Yeah.
go, oh, how come I didn't see that before? And it's not that it's fun going through what you're going through, but if you don't look at it as something negative, it is just something that is transformative. And that's why that word allows. I allow myself to be balanced in all situations, or to come from my heart in all situations. I allow myself to get through this and see myself as stronger and stronger. It's really, it sounds like it's simple, but it is, because as soon as you start saying the affirmations or saying, I allow myself to, you're bringing that quantum energy right to you. It's going to start to shift. And the more you, and whether it's with the crystal deck or with, animals, or with tarot cards or anything, the more you start opening the door to allow that light in, which is knowledge or wisdom, and you can, it just seems to magnify. I just have how it's been in my life,
Yeah,
because
it has been for me too. Yeah.
but
Could you show us another crystal card?
sure, absolutely.
I don't know where this is coming from, but I'll trust it.
Well, I'll go through, I'll just show a few of them here. So this is celestite, and the crystals kind of picked me. I did not necessarily do all the common ones, the jasper and the crystal, like that's polychrome jasper there. They tell a story in them. And kunzite, for you crystal lovers, is one of the most beautiful stones. It's called Jumping for Joy. And they have keywords on the bottom also. So if you don't feel like reading the page at that time and you just want to go harmony, trust, and unconditional love, and meditate on that. Danbarite is one that not that many people know. It's a clear one. Whoops.
Oh,
And
they're
you,
so gorgeous. I can't even really hear what they're about because I'm getting lost in your images.
and what's this one, which is pyrite? It has a little critter on the bottom, which is it's not a worm. My brother always wanted me to paint that particular. I just forgot what it's called. It's like
okay.
It's like in between, like an animal and an insect. It's on an evolutionary scale, but most people wouldn't want to see, but I put that in.
Okay, we're running out of time now, but I've had the most wonderful time going through the
Thank you.
cards and meeting you and talking about all this. So please tell everybody one more time where they can find you.
You can go to www.thethirdEyestudio.com. I mean, if you live anywhere in the New York area, I mean, I'm in Peekskill, New York, in Westchester, and I have a shop there and a gallery that I'd love to see you if you come in and visit. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can just Google my name, Nadine Gordon-Taylor.
That's wonderful. So thank you again for being with us. For those of you who are listening, you can find me at my website, onetrueself.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. I usually write 2 a month, tell you about the astrological weather and ways of seeking your inner self. Anyway, or send me an email. We have classes coming up in March, I think. And that's it for now. Thanks again. Namaste.
you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.